Captain Jack Morgan stood on the bridge of the UES Resilient, watching the stars streak by the main view screen. The ship was humanity's pride, their first true deep space vessel, built for both exploration and diplomacy. After 50 years of slow expansion beyond their solar system, humans were finally ready to meet the Valan Confederacy as equals. "Status report," Jack said, his voice calm but firm. "All systems running at peak efficiency, Captain," replied First Officer Diane Wells from her station. "We'll reach Valan space in 3 days." Jack nodded, satisfied. The mission was simple: establish formal diplomatic relations with the Valan, a species that had been watching human development from afar, but had only recently agreed to official contact. The success of this mission would open new trade routes, technological exchanges, and alliances that Earth desperately needed. What Jack didn't know was that not everyone wanted this mission to succeed. The first sign of trouble came at 300 ship time. Jack was jerked from sleep by the wail of emergency sirens. He grabbed his uniform and was halfway to the bridge before the ship-wide announcement system activated. "All hands to emergency stations." Repeat, "All hands to emergency stations." This is not a drill. When Jack reached the bridge, chaos greeted him. Warning lights flashed across every console. The main lights flickered, plunging the bridge into darkness before the backup systems kicked in with a dull red glow. "Report," Jack demanded as he took his chair. Diane's face was grim in the emergency lighting. "We've got cascading system failures across the ship, Captain. Life support is down to 60% and falling. Main reactor is shutting down. Navigation is giving us incorrect readings." "How is this possible?" Jack asked. "Everything was fine 4 hours ago." Before anyone could answer, Chief Engineer Lisa Reed's voice came through on the comm system. "Captain, you need to see this. Now." In the engine room, Lisa pointed to her workstation screen. Jack leaned in, squinting at what looked like microscopic machines. "What am I looking at, Chief?" "Nanobots, sir. Thousands of them. They're systematically destroying our systems from the inside out." Lisa wiped sweat from her forehead. The engine room was already getting hot as climate controls failed. "They're attacking power conduits, navigation circuits, life support, everything." "Sabotage?" Jack asked, though he already knew the answer. Lisa nodded. "No doubt about it. These aren't random failures. These little bastards were programmed to bring us down." Security Officer Marcus Black appeared at Jack's side, his tablet showing surveillance footage. "Captain, I think I found how they got on board." He played a video showing a maintenance worker at Outpost 7, their last stop before heading to Valan space. The worker was accessing a maintenance panel near the main reactor. "Who is that?" Jack asked. "That's the problem, sir. He doesn't exist in our crew manifest or station records, and he's nowhere on the ship now." Jack felt a cold realization sweep over him. "Can we neutralize these nanobots?" Lisa shook her head. "Not with what we have on board. They're using technology I've never seen before. By the time we figure it out." She didn't need to finish her sentence. Back on the bridge, the situation was deteriorating rapidly. Oxygen levels were dropping throughout the ship. The main reactor was now operating at just 15% capacity. Navigation systems showed them drifting off course, heading into an unmapped region of space. "Communications, keep trying emergency channels," Jack ordered. "Someone must be in range." Communications Officer Alex Foster worked frantically at his station. "Sir, I'm picking up something, but it's not on any of our frequencies." He adjusted some settings. "It's encrypted, but our systems are managing a rough translation." Jack moved to the comm station as Alex put the transmission on speaker. The voice was distinctly non-human, with a clicking quality beneath the translation. "Confirmation that the human vessel has been neutralized. Their systems are failing as planned." A second voice replied. "Excellent. The Council will be pleased. These humans advance too quickly." Another century of isolation should keep them contained until we're ready to deal with them properly. The bridge fell silent as the transmission ended. Jack looked around at his crew, seeing the same realization dawn on all their faces. "They set us up," Diane said quietly. "This whole diplomatic mission was just to get us out here alone." Jack's jaw tightened. "Communications, what's our status? Can we send a warning to Earth?" Alex shook his head. "Long-range comms are completely down, sir. Even if we could send a message, it would take weeks to reach home." "And rescue?" Jack asked, already knowing the answer. "We're off all charted routes now," Diane replied. "Even if they send ships looking for us, they won't know where to search. We're on our own." Dr. James Reynolds, the ship's medical officer, stepped onto the bridge. "Captain, at the current rate of oxygen depletion, we have approximately 72 hours of breathable air. That's assuming we can keep the scrubbers running at all." Jack stood still for a long moment, feeling the weight of 120 lives on his shoulders. Then something shifted in his expression. "Chief Reed," he called over the comm. "You said these nanobots are technology you've never seen before, correct?" "Yes, sir. Far beyond anything we have." "Then they've made a critical mistake," Jack said. "They didn't just try to kill us. They handed us their technology in the process." He turned to address the entire bridge crew. "I want every scientist and engineer on this ship working on capturing and analyzing these nanobots. If they can break our systems, we can learn how they work." "Captain," Marcus protested, "we don't have time for a research project. We need emergency repairs." "We're going to do both, Mr. Black," Jack cut him off. "Lisa, focus your team on keeping life support and basic systems running. Science teams will work on the nanobots." Jack activated the ship-wide comm. "Attention all crew of the UES Resilient. By now you know we've been attacked, sabotaged by those who invited us here under the guise of peace. They wanted to strand us here to die, to send a message that humans don't belong among the stars." He paused, letting his words sink in. "But they made one critical error. They wanted to break our ship. Fine. We'll just have to build something better. From this moment, we are not just fighting for survival. We are going to take what they used against us and turn it into our salvation. And when we're done, we're going to show them exactly what humans do when backed into a corner." As he finished speaking, Jack noticed something out the viewport. Strange patterns of light in the space they were drifting into, radiation or energy unlike anything in their charts. "Mr. Foster, record and analyze the phenomena," he ordered, pointing to the viewport. "It might be nothing, but right now we need every advantage we can find." Jack looked around the bridge at his crew, their faces showing a mixture of fear and determination. "We have 72 hours to defy death." Lisa Reed hadn't slept in 36 hours. Her hands were steady as she worked, but dark circles had formed under her eyes. The engine room of the UES Resilient had become a hive of frantic activity as crew members worked to keep the dying ship alive. "Chief, you need to see this," called Tom Wilson, her assistant engineer. He was hunched over a workbench, a captured nanobot trapped in a magnetic containment field. Lisa joined him, peering at the microscopic machine. "What am I looking at?" "It's not just destroying our systems," Tom explained, his voice rising with excitement despite their dire situation. "It's scanning them first, sending the data somewhere before it attacks." Lisa's tired mind suddenly sharpened. "They're not just trying to kill us. They're studying us." She tapped her comm badge. "Captain Morgan, we have something." On the bridge, Jack listened as Lisa explained her discovery. Oxygen levels had stabilized at 40% of normal, enough to survive, but everyone was feeling the effects. Moving was harder. Thinking was harder. "So they're gathering intelligence while they destroy us," Jack said. "Can we use that somehow?" "Maybe," Lisa replied. "The nanobots have to be communicating with each other and sending data outward. If we can crack their transmission method." "Do it," Jack ordered. "And Lisa, The quantum computer in the science lab was shielded against radiation. It might have survived the attack. Use it if you need to. As the communication ended, Jack turned to Science Officer Emma Wright. What about the energy patterns outside the ship? Any progress? Emma nodded, her movements slightly sluggish in the oxygen-thin air. It's unlike anything we've encountered before, Captain. The radiation interacts with certain metals in our hull in ways that defy our understanding of physics. It's almost like... Like what? Jack prompted when she hesitated. Like it's alive. Emma finished. Not sentient, but reactive, changing in response to our presence. Jack stared at the viewport where the strange lights pulsed outside. Could we harness it somehow? Emma blinked in surprise. I don't know. Maybe? But that would require completely redesigning our power systems. Start working on it, Jack said. Right now, impossible ideas are all we've got. In the science lab, Lisa and Tom had commandeered the quantum computer. A dozen captured nanobots were suspended in containment fields around them as the computer ran analysis protocols. This is insane, Tom muttered, staring at the results on the screen. These things operate using quantum entanglement. They're communicating instantly across space. No delay, no signal that can be blocked. Lisa leaned closer to the screen. That's technology we theorized but couldn't build yet. And look at how they manipulate energy at the subatomic level. They're not just machines. They're like tiny reality manipulators. The doors slid open, and Marcus Black entered. Please tell me you have good news. Lisa looked up, a strange light in her eyes despite her exhaustion. Better than good. We've been asking the wrong question. We've been asking how to destroy these nanobots. But what we should be asking is, how do we make them work for us? Marcus frowned. What are you talking about? These machines are decades ahead of our technology, Lisa explained. But we can understand them. And if we can understand them, we can copy them. Tom finished, a slow smile spreading across his face. Captain Morgan had called an emergency meeting in the briefing room. Around the table sat his senior officers, all showing signs of fatigue, but all... Let me make sure I understand, Jack said, looking at Lisa. You think we can reprogram these nanobots? Not exactly, Lisa replied. They're too complex for that, but we can use them as templates to create our own version. The quantum computer has already mapped their basic structure. With some modifications, we could build nanobots that repair instead of destroy. And I've been analyzing that strange radiation, Emma added. It responds to electrical fields in a way that could potentially be harnessed for power. If we could develop a new kind of energy collector. How long would all this take? Jack asked. Lisa and Emma exchanged glances. Under normal circumstances. Years, Lisa admitted. But we don't have years. We have about 36 hours of oxygen left. So it's impossible, Marcus said flatly. Not impossible, Lisa countered. Just highly improbable. But we have one advantage. What's that? Diane asked. We're human, Lisa said simply. When have we ever let impossible stop us? Jack stood up, his decision made. We're not just making repairs anymore. We're rebuilding this ship from the inside out. I want every crew member with engineering or scientific knowledge working on this project. Captain, Dr. Reynolds protested. People are already exhausted from the oxygen deprivation. Pushing them harder could be dangerous. Being dead is also dangerous, Doctor, Jack replied grimly. But you're right. Set up a rotation. 4 hours on, 2 hours rest, and increase the oxygen levels in the work areas as much as possible. As the meeting broke up, Jack held back Lisa and Emma. He pulled a small object from his pocket, a smooth stone with swirling patterns. This was given to me by my grandfather, he said quietly. He flew the first manned mission to Mars. He told me that space will always find new ways to kill you, but humans will always find more creative ways to live. He placed the stone on the table between them. They gave us the knife they meant to kill us with, he said, examining the holographic model of the captured nanobots floating above the table. Let's use it to carve our way home. The next 24 hours aboard the Resilient became a blur of activity. The ship's corridors, normally neat and orderly, were now strewn with opened panels and exposed circuitry. Crew members passed tools back and forth, their conversations a mix of technical jargon and desperate brainstorming. In the engine room, Lisa had set up what she called a nanoforge, using the ship's 3D printing systems, modified with parts from the medical bay's molecular synthesizers. The quantum computer ran continuous simulations, testing and refining designs for their own nanobots. Tom had taken a different approach, stripping the propulsion system down to its most basic components and rebuilding it to interact with the strange radiation outside. His small team worked in environmental suits, making modifications to the ship's exterior hull. On the bridge, Emma coordinated the various teams, while Jack moved throughout the ship, offering encouragement and making quick decisions when different departments disagreed on priorities. By hour 30, the first batch of human-made nanobots was ready for testing. Lisa placed them on a damaged circuit board from one of the life support systems. Moment of truth, she said, activating the tiny machines. Everyone in the room held their breath as the nanobots went to work. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, the microscopic machines began to move, surrounding the damaged areas of the circuit. Metal began to flow like water, components realigned, and before their eyes, the dead circuit board came back to life. Lisa looked up at Jack with exhausted triumph in her eyes. It works. For the first time in days, Jack Morgan. This isn't a repair job anymore, Lisa announced to the gathered engineering team. We're completely rebuilding the Resilient from the inside out. 5 days had passed since the sabotage. The immediate danger of suffocation had passed. Their newly created nanobots had restored basic life support to full capacity. But Captain Morgan wanted more than just survival. In the main cargo bay, now converted into their central workshop, a holographic model of the ship floated in the air. Different sections glowed with different colors, showing progress on their transformation. The navigation and propulsion systems are our priority, Lisa continued. Tom's team has made significant breakthroughs with the radiation harvesting technology. Tom stepped forward, his face tired but excited. We're calling it void energy for now. It's like nothing we've seen before. The strange radiation outside the ship responds to electrical fields, almost like it's attracted to them. We've built collectors that can pull it in and convert it to usable power. How much power? Asked Jack, who was standing at the back of the room. Tom smiled. Based on our tests, about 5 times what our original engines could produce. And that's just the beginning. A murmur of excitement rippled through the gathered crew. For the first time, they weren't just fighting for survival, they were creating something revolutionary. In the communications lab, Alex Foster worked with a small team to implement Lisa's most ambitious idea. A new communication system based on the quantum entanglement principles they discovered in the alien nanobots. If this works, Alex explained to Jack during his inspection, we'll be able to communicate instantly across any distance. No delay, no signal that can be intercepted or blocked. Will it work? Jack asked, studying the complex equipment spread across the lab tables. In theory, yes. In practice, Alex shrugged. We're doing in days what might have taken Earth decades to develop, but the principles are sound. Jack nodded thoughtfully. Keep at it. If we can send a warning to Earth about the Valen's true intentions, we'll be saving lives, Alex finished. Not everyone embraced the rapid changes. In the security office, Marcus Black voiced his concerns to the captain. We're moving too fast, he argued. These technologies haven't been properly tested. The nanobots, this void energy, we don't fully understand them yet. We don't have the luxury of time for proper testing, Jack replied. Every day we stay here increases the chance that the Valen will send ships to confirm our destruction. And what happens if these new systems fail catastrophically? Marcus pressed. What if the nanobots decide to turn against us? What if this radiation we're harvesting has unforeseen effects? Jack placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder. Your caution is noted and appreciated, Marcus. But sometimes the greater risk is in not taking a risk at all. In the medical bay, Dr. Reynolds had similar concerns. He showed Jack the results of his tests on crew members who had been working with the void energy. There are subtle changes in their cellular activity, he explained. Nothing harmful so far. In fact, their cells show increased energy and regenerative capabilities. But it's change, and change we don't fully understand. Jack studied the medical scans. Monitor it closely. At the first sign of actual harm, we'll reassess. Captain, the doctor said hesitantly, there's something else. The ship itself, it's changing in ways that go beyond our modifications. Explain. The nanobots are learning. They're not just following their programming anymore. They're adapting, finding more efficient ways to integrate the new systems. The ship is becoming, well, I don't have a better word for it than alive. Jack was silent for a long moment. Is it a threat? No, Reynolds said quickly. It seems more like symbiosis. The ship is responding to our needs, almost before we articulate them. Jack nodded slowly. Then we'll continue. But keep watching, Doctor. Keep watching very carefully. By the 10th day, the transformation was nearly complete. The UES Resilient didn't just look different, it felt different. The walls hummed with energy. Lights responded to crew members' presence without commands. The ship moved through space with a grace it had never possessed before. On the bridge, Jack called a meeting of his senior officers to discuss their next steps. The void energy propulsion system is fully operational, Lisa reported. Based on our calculations, we could reach Earth in a fraction of the time it would have taken with our original engines. The quantum communication system is online as well, Alex added. We've sent test signals. Our defensive capabilities have exceeded all expectations, Marcus said, his earlier caution now tempered with amazement. The energy shields derived from the void radiation can withstand impacts and energy weapons far beyond anything we previously could handle. And the ship itself is becoming more responsive, Emma noted. The integration of our nanobots throughout all systems has created a kind of distributed intelligence. Not exactly an AI, but something new. Jack took in all the information, then stood up and walked to the viewport. Outside, the strange radiation patterns danced around the ship like living light. We came out here to establish first contact with the Valen, he said quietly. Instead, we've achieved something far more significant. The next evolution of human space travel. He turned back to his officers. I believe it's time we give this ship a new name to match its new nature. From this moment on, we are no longer the UES Resilient. What shall we call her, Captain? Asked Diane. Jack smiled. Phoenix. The UES Phoenix, because we have risen from our own destruction. What's our course, sir? The navigation officer asked. Jack considered for a moment. The logical choice was to return to Earth immediately with their revolutionary technology and warning about the Valen threat. But something else tugged at him, a sense that their journey wasn't complete yet. Set a course that will intercept the Valen patrol routes, he finally decided. Before we go home, I want the people who tried to kill us to see exactly what they created instead. A tense silence fell over the bridge. Then, one by one, the officers nodded in agreement. Engage the void drive, Jack ordered. Let's show the galaxy what happens when you try to eliminate humanity. The ship, now the UES Phoenix, hummed with power. The new engines glowed with unearthly light, drawing in the surrounding radiation. Then, in a flash of brilliance that would have been impossible just days before, the Phoenix leaped forward into the darkness, faster than any human vessel had ever traveled. They weren't running home to safety. They were flying toward their would-be killers, not for revenge, but for justice and recognition. The message was clear. Humanity would not be confined, contained, or eliminated. They would simply adapt, evolve. Multiple ships detected at the edge of our sensor range, announced Emma from her science station. Configuration matches Valen warships. It had been 2 days since the Phoenix had set course for the Valen patrol routes. The ship had performed beyond all expectations, its new void energy drive carrying them smoothly through space at speeds that would have been impossible before. Captain Jack Morgan stood from his command chair and moved to the main view screen. How many? 5 vessels, Captain. One appears to be a command ship, significantly larger than the others. Jack turned to Alex at the communication station. Are they transmitting anything? Alex adjusted controls on his panel. Yes, sir. Internal communications only, but our quantum receivers are picking them up. He paused, listening through his earpiece. They're talking about us, Captain. About the human problem. They're coming to verify our destruction. A tense silence fell over the bridge. This was the moment they had been waiting for, the confrontation with those who had tried to eliminate them. But now that it was here, Jack felt a flutter of doubt. Were they ready? Lisa's voice came over the comm system from engineering. Captain, the Phoenix is responding to the Valen presence. Power levels are rising automatically in defensive systems. The ship is protecting itself, Diane murmured. Jack nodded. Let's not rush in. Emma, can we mask our energy signature? Make ourselves look like debris or a natural phenomenon? Emma worked quickly at her console. The void energy naturally distorts sensor readings. With some adjustments, yes, I believe we can appear as nothing more than space debris. Do it, Jack ordered. Let's see what they have to say about us when they think we can't hear them. The Phoenix hung silently in space, its systems powered down to minimal levels, its energy signature disguised. The 5 Valen warships moved closer, their sleek, angular forms cutting through the darkness like predatory fish. On the bridge, the crew waited in near darkness, only essential systems running. Alex listened intently to the Valen communications, relaying them in whispers to the captain. The lead ship is Commander Fax's vessel. He's ordering the others to spread out in a search pattern. They're looking for confirmation of our destruction. Jack's expression hardened. This Commander Fax was clearly one of those responsible for the sabotage plot. They're discussing debris patterns, Alex continued. They expected to find more substantial remains of our ship. Little do they know, Tom whispered from his station. The largest Valen ship passed within 1,000 kilometers of the Phoenix, close enough that they could see it clearly on their view screen. It was an impressive vessel, its hull covered in what appeared to be weapon ports and sensor arrays. Incoming transmission from the Valen command ship to their fleet. Alex reported. Decoding now. He put it on the bridge speakers, the translation system converting the alien language to English. This sector is clear, came a cold, precise voice. The human vessel must have drifted further than anticipated. Continue the search pattern. We must... A second voice responded. Commander Fax, sensors are detecting unusual energy patterns in this sector. It could be residue from their reactor breach. Investigate it, ordered the first voice, but maintain caution. If any portion of their ship remains intact, destroy it. The humans cannot be allowed to establish a presence in this part of space. Their technological development is already proceeding faster than anticipated. Jack turned to Marcus at the security station. Record everything. We need evidence of their intentions. Marcus nodded grimly, his fingers moving over his console. Another transmission, Alex announced. This one is different. It's coming from one of the smaller ships. The new voice sounded younger, with a note of confusion. Commander, I've reviewed the diplomatic directives from the Council. There's no mention of eliminating the human vessel. Our orders were to observe and report only. A tense pause followed. Captain Nirok, Commander Fax replied with obvious irritation. Your ship was included in this mission because of your technical expertise, not to question orders. The full directive from the High Council is classified. You will follow my commands without further discussion. That's interesting, Jack murmured. Not everyone in their fleet knows the truth about this mission. Sir, Emma called urgently from her station. One of their scout ships is approaching our position. They're using active scans. If they get much closer, our camouflage won't hold. Jack made his decision instantly. Alex, establish a quantum link to Captain Niruk's ship only. Lisa, bring power systems to full readiness, but don't engage yet. Captain, Marcus protested, we should maintain our cover until... They're going to find us anyway. Jack cut him off. I want to control how that happens. Alex worked frantically at his station. Quantum link established to the smaller Valen vessel. Channel open. Jack took a deep breath. Captain Niruk of the Valen fleet. This is Captain Jack Morgan of the Earth vessel Phoenix. We know the truth about your mission here. We have recorded Commander Thax's orders regarding our elimination. There was no immediate response, just a long silence. Then, human vessel, how are you still functioning? Our sensors showed catastrophic system failures throughout your ship. We adapted, Jack replied simply. We survived your sabotage, Captain Niruk. And in doing so, we discovered things about ourselves, and about the Valen leadership, that we never would have known otherwise. Another voice broke in, the cold, precise tones of Commander Thax. All vessels, battle formations. The human ship has somehow survived. Destroy it immediately. Jack could hear alarms blaring in the background of Niruk's transmission. Human captain, you must flee. You cannot withstand our weapons. We're not running, Jack said firmly. But we're not here for revenge either. We want the truth to be known. Your commander acted without full council approval, didn't he? Not all Valen want war with humanity. Before Niruk could respond, Emma shouted from her station. Energy buildup on the Valen command ship. They're charging weapons. Lisa, Jack called over the comm. Time to show them what Phoenix can do. The ship hummed to life around them, void energy flowing through its systems. The lighting returned to normal, and displays showed power levels rising far beyond their original specifications. Defensive shields at maximum, Marcus reported. New weapon systems online. The Valen command ship fired, a beam of intense energy slashing across space toward the Phoenix. It struck the shields and dissipated harmlessly, absorbed by the void energy field surrounding the ship. A collective gasp went up from the bridge crew. Their shields had worked even better than the simulations predicted. Our turn, Jack said quietly. Target their weapon systems only. Minimal power. We're making a point, not starting a war. Marcus entered the commands, and the Phoenix responded. A pulse of concentrated void energy shot from the ship, striking the Valen command vessel with surgical precision. Their main weapon port went dark immediately. Their weapons are offline, Marcus reported with satisfaction. No other damage to their ship. Open a channel to all Valen vessels, Jack ordered. When Alex nodded that the channel was open, Jack spoke clearly and calmly. This is Captain Jack Morgan of the UES Phoenix. We were invited to your space for diplomatic talks. Instead, we were sabotaged and left to die. But what your leadership didn't understand is that humanity doesn't break when faced with destruction. We transform. He paused, letting his words sink in. We have disabled your weapons as a demonstration, not as an act of war. We are transmitting evidence of Commander Thax's true orders regarding our elimination. Review it for yourselves. Then decide what kind of relationship the Valen truly want with humanity. As he finished speaking, the Phoenix's sensors detected new energy readings from the Valen fleet. Two of the smaller ships, including Captain Niruk's, were powering down their weapons. The other two remained in attack formation around the command. The bridge of the Phoenix was silent as the crew watched the Valen fleet split into two groups. Captain Niruk's ship and one other had moved away from Commander Thax's vessels, clearly distancing themselves from his actions. "Sir," Alex reported from communications, "we're receiving a transmission from Captain Nirok." Jack nodded. On screen, the main view screen flickered to life, showing the alien captain. The Valen were humanoid, but with striking differences. Iridescent blue skin, large eyes with horizontal pupils, and bony ridges where hair would be on a human. "Captain Morgan," Nirok said, his voice translated through the ship's systems. "My crew and I have reviewed your evidence. Commander Thax acted without full council approval. This sabotage was not authorized." Jack studied the alien carefully. "And yet it happened. Your people tried to kill mine." Nirok lowered his gaze in what seemed like a gesture of shame. "Yes, and for that, there is no adequate apology. But you should know that Thax represents only one faction among our leadership, those who fear your kind's rapid advancement." "Captain," Marcus called out suddenly, "the command ship is powering up secondary weapons." Before Jack could respond, a barrage of energy blasts shot from Thax's vessel toward the Phoenix. The ship's shields flared bright with absorbed energy, but held firm. The other two Valen ships in Thax's group also opened fire. "No damage," Lisa reported from engineering. "Our shields are actually growing stronger. They're adapting to the attack patterns and frequencies." Jack's expression hardened. "Return fire. Target their propulsion systems this time." The Phoenix responded instantly, void energy weapons striking all three attacking ships with precision. Their engines flared and went dark, leaving them drifting in space. "They're disabled but intact," Marcus confirmed. "Life support and basic systems still functioning." Jack turned back to the still open communication with Nirok. "We could have destroyed them. Remember that." Nirok nodded slowly. "Your restraint is unexpected. And your technology, it far exceeds our understanding of human capabilities." "That's the point you missed," Jack replied. "Humans don't advance on a predictable timeline. When pushed, we leap forward. You tried to eliminate us because you feared our potential. But in doing so, you only accelerated what might have taken us decades to achieve on our own." A new transmission cut in. Commander Thax, his face contorted with rage. "This changes nothing. The Council will send more ships. Your single vessel, no matter how advanced, cannot stand against our entire fleet." Jack simply smiled. "We don't need to." "Alex, send the package." Alex tapped a series of commands on his console. Quantum data package transmitted to all Valen worlds and outposts. "What have you done?" Thax demanded. "We've shared everything," Jack explained calmly. "The evidence of your unauthorized sabotage. The schematics of our new technology, not detailed enough to replicate, but enough to prove what we've accomplished. And most importantly, our offer of peaceful cooperation despite your attempt to destroy us." Thax's face paled to a lighter blue. "You can't have transmitted to all our worlds simultaneously. The distances. Instant communication across any distance." Jack cut him off. "Just one of the things we learned from studying your nanobots. Your sabotage gave us the keys to technologies your people are still developing." Nirok's voice came back over the comm. "Captain Morgan, I am receiving messages from the High Council. They are disturbed by the evidence. Commander Thax is ordered to stand down immediately." On the view screen, they could see Thax's ship powering down its remaining weapons. The commander's face showed a mixture of disbelief and defeat. "What happens now?" Jack asked. "The Council requests a proper diplomatic meeting," Nirok replied. "They are sending representatives not associated with Thax's faction. They offer safe passage and formal recognition of Earth as an independent power." Jack looked around at his crew. Each face showed the same mixture of pride and caution. "We accept," Jack said finally. "But the meeting will take place on neutral ground, not on a Valen world. And as a show of good faith, I expect Commander Thax to face consequences for his actions." "Agreed," Narok said. I will personally ensure. 3 days later, the Phoenix hovered near a small neutral outpost that served as a trading hub for several species. In a large meeting chamber, Captain Morgan and his senior officers sat across from 5 Valen Council representatives. Commander Thax was notably absent, having been removed from his position and detained pending a formal inquiry. We misjudged humanity, admitted the lead counselor, an elderly Valen with deep blue skin. Or rather, some among us did. We saw your rapid technological advancement as a threat rather than an opportunity. It nearly became a self-fulfilling prophecy, Jack pointed out. By trying to eliminate us, you forced us to advance even faster. The counselor nodded. A lesson we have learned at great cost. The technology your ship now possesses, particularly the void energy manipulation and quantum communication, is beyond even our most advanced theoretical research. Which brings us to the main point of these talks, Diane said. You wanted to contain humanity because you feared our potential. Now that potential has been realized ahead of schedule, where does that leave us? The counselors exchanged glances before their leader spoke again. It leaves us with a choice. Continue down the path of fear and competition, which would likely lead to conflict, or forge a new path of cooperation and mutual advancement. And which do you choose? Jack asked simply. We choose cooperation, the counselor replied. Not just because we have seen your capabilities, but because we have seen your character. You could have destroyed Thax's ships. You could have used your new technology to threaten our worlds. Instead, you showed restraint and offered peace despite our aggression. Jack smiled slightly. That's the other thing you misjudged about humanity. We're not just adaptable and inventive. We genuinely prefer friends to enemies. The lead counselor extended a 4-fingered hand across the table. Then let us be friends, Captain Morgan. There is much our peoples can learn from each other. As Jack shook the alien's hand, he felt the weight of the moment. What had begun as a simple diplomatic mission, turned into a fight for survival, had now come full circle, but with humanity entering the galactic community not as newcomers to be watched and contained, but as equals to be respected. 1 month later, the Phoenix returned to Earth orbit. As the blue-green planet filled the view screen, the crew gathered on the bridge for Jack's address. We left Earth in a ship that represented the best of human technology, Jack said, looking around at the faces of his crew. We return in a vessel that represents something far greater, the best of the human spirit, our adaptability, our resilience, our ability to transform disaster into opportunity. He gestured to the viewport, where Earth hung like a jewel against the blackness of space. What we bring back will change everything, not just technology, but a new understanding of our place in the galaxy. The Valen tried to keep us confined to our corner of space because they feared what we might become. Jack smiled. They were right to be afraid, but not because we're a threat. Because when humanity reaches for the stars, we don't just adapt to the universe. We transform it,